This is a true rarity right here. I'm standing on 7th Avenue and 14th Street, right outside a deli. This is the Regal. I don't really particularly know much about this deli. This is right next to the donut pub that Charles has told us a funny story about. But the place is closed. I have never seen this happen before. A deli convenience store in New York City close. I don't know. It does appear to be out of business. Notably, this place had previously put tables outside for outdoor dining. They've got this little elevated thing on the curb for all of these restaurants to accommodate tables. The New York Post was reporting that last night there was some disruption in this neighborhood, some banks and businesses being smashed and shattered. Just checking if we're live here. It looks like we are. And I just wanted to kind of do an audit of the neighborhood, see what's going on. The deli definitely looks out of business to me. And I mean, like I said, that's rare. They said that between 14th Street and 20th Street on 7th Avenue, banks and businesses had their windows smashed. This is a Chase Bank right over here. Let's see. I don't know. I just read it in the New York Post. I wasn't over here. I've really taken to kind of not going outside after dark. It's just too dangerous. I don't really see any smashed windows on this bank. Chase has been closing some branches. Dwayne Reed looks like it did take a hit. They've got some wood up on their window there. Here's the thing with these peaceful protests, you know. If you break anything, if you scream at or intimidate anyone, that's not peaceful. Peaceful protest is you show up in the park, you show up on 5th Avenue, wherever it is you're permitted to protest. You give speeches, you have signs, you say stuff. But the second you start going around and intimidating diners at these outdoor restaurants, a lot of people saw that was going on in Buffalo last night, you're harassing people. I think in some states it's even assault to cause someone to feel like they're in danger. You don't have to necessarily hit them. I think if you just cause them to think they're in danger of being attacked, that counts as assault in some places. But the point of the matter is, you know, they think, oh, you know, these restaurants are for rich people, or these are white people who need to be yelled at and shamed. But what you're actually doing is you're intimidating people from going to any restaurant at all. Because when somebody sees on the news that BLM protesters are disrupting diners at a restaurant in Rochester, they feel like, well, wait a minute, maybe if I go to a restaurant in my town, the same thing will happen. Maybe I should not do that. And then we start to see signs like that one that we can see across the street, which says restaurant for lease. Now, we don't know, was it owned by black people? Was it owned by white people? Do their lives matter? Do their incomes matter? Their families, the people working there? Does any of that matter? Or does just yelling at people and creating viral videos in furtherance of your, you know, abolish the system, burn it down kind of agenda? I'd go even as far as saying that someone who is promoting an agenda of abolish the system, that's also not a peaceful protest. You're calling for the destruction of the country. I mean, a peaceful protest would involve wanting to change the system, not destroy it and build a new one. That's revolution. And I mean, a revolution is going to be met with resistance from the military of an established country, you would think. There's a lot of closed businesses around here. We've been up this street before, but doing it again right here. You know, people might disagree with me. They say, no, we have a right to protest the government. You do. Of course you do. But not to intimidate individuals, not to destroy property, not to make these neighborhoods unlivable. Graffiti is not... This is not peaceful protesting. This is destruction of property. This is disrupting somebody else's ability to do business here. This is for rent. I'm pretty sure this was a real estate place. So, they're obviously, well, look at this. Smashing the facade. Closed businesses across the street. This place, cafeteria, it's a very trendy, hip kind of place. They got, I guess, a line for people waiting for tables now, which is good. That's the way it usually was at this place on a Saturday or Sunday, nice weather. There'd be a ton of people trying to get in here, and they're usually busy telling me how there are no tables available for me. Now, this place has sent me 2 emails in the past 2 weeks. All right, here's another bank that's been smashed. Cleaners out of business. I don't know for sure if they're out of business, but usually the Cleaners is open on Saturday. Here's another deli closed, and it must be closed. These guys have their little water filling station set up outside their place. So the bank is smashed. Does that mean somebody was trying to get in there and smash an ATM machine? Right next door is for lease. More restaurants across the street trying to make it work. This actually might have been the real estate place, but it's also for lease. I think we got the fire department down this street here. We're on 18th Street here. We got the fire, maybe they're on 16th Street, the fire department, 19th Street. This is a happy thought. We're all in this together. Tani sidewalk art. People who enjoy that message. Yeah, I've seen this artist out here actually. I like this. See, this is an interesting form of artwork. It's on the sidewalk. It's obviously a serious attempt at good art, and it just sort of takes care of itself. People walking over it eventually eliminates it. So I think in general people aren't too offended by it. Even people who might not like other artwork being painted on the street. Yeah. I mean, the way the New York Post had it written, I expected to see a lot more destruction, but it's a pretty sad state when we've all become so desensitized to mass public violence that just a bank or two having its windows smashed and additional graffiti, it doesn't surprise anybody. So see all these restaurants here, I wonder if tonight, a Saturday, one of the last days of the summer and nice weather where they're trying to make back some of the money they lost during all the months they were closed. Yeah, people can see that craft and carry thing I was talking about. But I mean, if somebody sees the news that a mad gang of protesters were intimidating diners, okay, here's another smashed bank, Wells Fargo. So they weren't lying. If diners are intimidated and decide to not go to a restaurant tonight, there's more businesses losing money, more damage to the economy. A lot of people with suitcases. You guys vacationing in New York?
Yeah.
Where are you from?
Mexico.
Wow, what caused you to decide to come now? Wow. Well, we got some Mexican tourists there. They seemed legitimately like tourists, smiling, laughing. I don't know why you would come to New York right now, but they didn't seem like, Washington hipsters here to destroy stuff, or Oregon hipsters. I was watching an interview with, a Joe Rogan podcast with Andy Ngo, N-G-O. It's a Vietnamese name. I think it's Andy Ngo. People know that Andy Ngo is the guy who was attacked by Antifa. He had a brain hemorrhage. He's a very smart guy, and definitely one of the new breed of journalism where, although he does write for the New York Post and the Wall Street Journal, which are obviously both Rupert Murdoch, but I think Andy's been doing a lot of good work, a lot of good research into Antifa and what they're up to. He's become the target of their attacks, this is dangerous. I mean, these guys are sophisticated. They use social media to identify people, to track them, etc. Anyway, this interview with Andy No was over a year ago. It was like, I think, July 2019. It's interesting to look at it in retrospect and see how things have changed, how people's opinions have changed. I know a lot of people think a lot of different things about Joe Rogan. He's just made a deal with Spotify, some 50, 100 million, whatever huge number of money deal. And I saw a bunch of tweets that said that some of his more controversial podcasts had been removed. That's interesting. They took down the Joe Rogan Alex Jones podcast, which I think at the time that it went, that was one of the most viewed podcasts ever. But I guess Spotify doesn't like Alex Jones, or doesn't like whatever he had to say to Joe Rogan, because it's not there anymore apparently when you listen to Joe Rogan on Spotify. Here's more empty spaces. Oh, that's SVA, so they're probably just the School of Visual Arts, probably just, maybe there's no students there, so there's usually student artwork on display in these windows. How does a coffee shop like this do when everybody's remote learning at the School of Visual Arts and this Da Vinci art store? All of these businesses that exist around here, they're in support of what's normally going on in this neighborhood. And if nobody's going to college and everybody's moving out of town, they're not going to buy Sherman-Williams paints. And certainly if they're afraid of getting attacked at the restaurant, they're not going to go there. It's unfortunate because today is absolutely beautiful and tonight would be a nice night. Why is this person riding a scooter on the sidewalk? Would be a nice night to be outside, not too hot. At least the temperature isn't. But I think a lot of people might, rightfully so, feel somewhat intimidated about eating outside. Gonna head up. This is gonna be kind of a lengthy walk right now, and we'll just sort of see what's going on around here. It's another bank over there that got hit. So, I mean, this really begs the question, are they targeting banks, trying to break in there and get money? Certainly the Weather Underground robbed Brinks trucks. They wanted to rob banks. That bank looks like it had a lot of windows broken. I don't know how much more evidence we need that these things are organized and coordinated, and that this is an effort. This is not some righteous effort to stamp out racial injustice. This is a manipulative play, a power play where anarchists want to destroy the United States. Marxists, maniacs. A lot of people saw that Antifa guy, whatever, who shot the Patriots' prayer. He's being described as a Trump supporter. They shot the guy. And so the cops went to arrest him, and he got shot. And so now he's, lauded as a hero, a martyr, whatever. I think if the cops try to arrest you and you fight with them or pull out a gun or resist or whatever, I think you should expect to be shot, and don't do that. I mean, if you want to resist and fight, that's what the court is there for. Everyone will now say, oh, the courts are rigged. This place is out of business. See, now, I mean, this is an example of a place that went to a greater than normal effort to build all this stuff. That had to cost a bunch of money. And here it is sunny Saturday and they're closed. This is a sort of a mini restaurant row area. We can see these guys are setting up, waiting for a big Saturday night. Will that happen for them? Or will people be concerned that some crew of protesters will come over here and demand that they raise their fists and proclaim that Black Lives Matter, rather than just letting them eat dinner? Huh. Scuba Network still appears to be open. A friend of mine used to work there. Let's see, I've got the comments with me today. We'll see what people are saying, whoops, just lost the 392 people watching. So the best thing for people to do right now, well, the very best thing for people to do is to become sponsors of Crowdsource the Truth by going to subscribestar.com/crowdsourcethetruth or patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth, where you can enjoy a huge and growing library of sponsor exclusive content. I just can't believe how many businesses are out. This one, it's 2 in a row. Now, this is a place, this is Abracadabra, the magic store. They're doing a huge amount of business around Halloween time. It's almost like a museum of magic in there. They've got all kinds of weird stuff and scary props and things for Halloween. But that's a very big space, and all of these places have huge rent. Here's another restaurant that I guess maybe they're setting up for tonight. I hope they're setting up for tonight. This looks empty. Zero Auto Novo. That looks still open. So it looks like they're getting their tables ready for tonight. So that's good. But I mean, we can see the level of effort that restaurants are putting into their Saturday night business. If protesters disrupt that, that'll really hurt the restaurant. So what is the purpose? Are restaurants causing this systemic racism? I don't know. Here's more graffiti across the street over there. Can people see that? I think it says ACAB. Yeah, I mean, what is 165th Avenue? I don't even know what's in that building. But somehow somebody felt the need to tag it. What I was going to say, the most important thing for people to do is to share this video, even if it's something that you don't normally do. Email it around to friends, or maybe not this one. Find your favorite Crowdsource the Truth video, whichever one you think contained the most important information, and share it manually. Because what's happening is the president of television is trying to destroy this channel, and people are going to say, who is the president of television? What are you talking about? That's an HSBC right there that's closed. I don't want to go into too many details. If you don't know who the president of television is, you're going to have to keep guessing, because he's a guy with a lot of fancy lawyers who want me to not talk about him, not criticize him, not mention him, not mention the Emmy Awards. They don't want me to mention anything. And they want to shut down Crowdsource the Truth by striking the channel on YouTube. Look at all these businesses out. This is Fifth Avenue, everybody. The world famous Fifth Avenue. Financially decimated, brought to its economic knees. So, but they don't want you to see this. They want you to watch CNN and MSNBC and CNBC and ABC and CBS, all these Emmy award-winning journalists who would tell you that somehow it's fake news, that there are riots happening in cities, that there are marauding gangs of maniacs intimidating people just trying to conduct business or just trying to enjoy their leisure time at a restaurant, trying to help bring the economy back, help people who work in the restaurants have a job. I mean, we sort of want these things. We don't want to redistribute the wealth. We want to create opportunities for people to earn things for themselves. But it seems that there's a huge contingency of people who want to destroy those things. So back to the most important thing. Share these Crowdsource the Truth videos. Email them, tweet them, Facebook, Instagram, whatever your social media platform of choice might be. Please utilize that and spread them around. And it's also very important that you subscribe to Crowdsource the Truth 2. That's the backup YouTube channel. That's free. And that has all the same videos that I stream on the Jason Goodman channel, simulcast stream onto Crowdsource the Truth 2, specifically for the reason that there's a lot of malicious social engineers who have been constantly trying to shut down Crowdsource the Truth, and they do it by striking videos on YouTube. And that disables my ability to live stream and really screws me up in a lot of ways. Captain Television knows this. He's an expert at social media, and he's an expert in media in general. So why would he take this extreme step of striking Crowdsource the Truth and then acting like a jerk about it? I don't know, maybe he's upset that when Charles Ortel and I broadcast on the Jason Goodman YouTube channel with 115,000 subscribers, we get 2,000 people watching a live stream. I was looking at broadcasts on Fox and CNN, I mean, things that have like 1 million subscribers and more. They didn't have 2,000 people watching on a live stream. It's strange. We know some of the other malicious social engineers who've been after me forever, their lawsuits and their nonsense. I'm noticing some interesting things about some of their social media properties and some of their associates as well. Hey, if you like the music, you can hit these guys on Venmo. I don't have any money with me, but people who want to send them money, get onto Venmo and their Instagram. Sounds great, guys. That's nice to see in the park. People having fun, playing music. That makes you feel good. The weather is so nice today, it almost causes you to forget what's going on, but then you look around and see all these people wearing these masks. Another thing that perhaps I personally haven't spoken about very much, isn't it a nice moment when you're walking down the street and you make eye contact with a friendly stranger and smile and they smile back and nothing more happens other than that? I mean, that's some degree of human interaction that we're all missing out on. Friendly smile of a friendly stranger. How many people have met their spouse through that exact circumstance that I'm describing? Just smile at a person, they smile back, and you're prompted to say hello. What's happening is so destructive to society. It's nice to see some young kids without the masks. People know about the Supreme Court. We've shown these things before, but I know there's always new viewers and people who maybe haven't been on the walk before. This is New York Supreme Court right there with the weird statues up above. I mean, they're weird to me. Somebody probably knows what that's all about. So we're gonna head uptown here. I'm kind of on the east side now. Fifth Avenue is over there. So when people talk about the east side or the west side of Manhattan, they're talking about Fifth Avenue. It separates the city sort of down the center, and anything east, whatever street, is east of Fifth Avenue, and anything west is west of Fifth Avenue. Got some people sleeping on the park benches there. Good for them. So let's see what we've got. Again, I'm going to be going to about 60s here, and if we lose signal anywhere along the way, I'll restore the remainder of the broadcast for sponsors on subscribestar.com/crowdsourcethetruth and patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth. Here's another one of these, which Charles and I have observed a number of times. Custom framing place is still open, so that's good. They're wearing masks, yeah, I know. Looking at the comments here for a moment. So see, right now we got 492 people watching, 495 people watching. Faces are beautiful, Bugsy Green, but we can't see them. Normally there'd be many, many more people watching on one of these New York City walk-around live streams. People tell me all the time they really enjoy these, and that is certainly reflected in the live viewership. But the people who choose to strike the YouTube channel, they do it on purpose. They're trying to do it all the time. They never let up. And they're doing it because they don't want people to see this information, and they don't like me. I mean, you know, obviously I'd like people to like me, but if you don't like me, that's fine. It's just here showing everybody what's going on around New York, and it doesn't look good. We've been up this street before, so, well, we're going to go further uptown than I've been on this. This is Madison Avenue right now. And again, even just walking the same path week over week, it's interesting to see how things change. Yeah, 9/11 is coming up this week, Mark. There's been a lot of talk about that article the guy wrote saying New York is dead forever. Jerry Seinfeld came back with a strong response in an op-ed. I mean, I saw the guy, I forget what the guy's name is who wrote that, but I saw him responding to Seinfeld's response, and he had a thoughtful response. I guess after everybody in the world gets super mad at you for saying something perhaps not delicately said, maybe you think about it a little bit more. Here's another totally empty restaurant. Maybe they're getting ready for a party or a wedding or something. Anyway, this guy gave a pretty thoughtful response that dialed back some of what he was saying a little bit. I think he's probably most guilty of just sort of stating some factual points in a kind of insulting way. But I don't know if New York is dead forever, but it's definitely injured. And I mean, I think it will come back. The question is, how long will it take, and how susceptible is it to something exactly like this happening in the future? Nobody seems to have come to their senses. Here's a guy spitting in the street. What is this dude up to? Spider-Man. He's doing his workout. We see a lot of these restaurant setups that are not that full at all. How can two people eating lunch sustain a restaurant? This looks like a very large place. Is Academy House running a restaurant? Is Academy House running a restaurant? That woman seemed confused and not so interested in talking. I don't know what Academy House is. American Academy of Dramatic Arts. Right. Charles knows about stuff like this. That's just a building as far as I know. Look at all this closed stuff. All of it. A few blocks off Route 66. Trying to read the comments as I walk around. Yeah, now Charles and I had been up this far. I remember the design center here. Fancy furniture place. We were talking about that. Yikes. I'm actually trying to get somewhere and I'm running a little bit slow. I love shoes for dogs. I find it very funny and also practical. If I had a dog, I probably would be sick of putting the shoes on them, but it makes sense that you don't want your dog running in your bed with the same dirty feet they were walking all around New York City in. A lot of restaurant huts with nobody in them. See, that guy did not look like a dyed-in-the-wool New York homeless person to me. Maybe he's somebody who came to New York to participate in the revolution and got shook out of it or something. But I'm jumping to a conclusion to presume that. You know, if somebody told you a year ago that you'd walk up Madison Avenue and would not find a single block without at least one business, if not multiple businesses, out, it would almost be impossible to cause someone to believe that. I'm not recording all these guys, but there's also tons of homeless people, more than usual. Dentists, are they out? Closed today. So this is 34th Street. Pretty quiet for a Saturday, sunny Saturday. Yeah, people are looking at the sheep. NYC is so different. It's basically been destroyed by incompetent management. We were talking yesterday about this notion of Trump defunding these Democrat-run cities that have failed to enforce the law. Somebody asked me if I think that that's Trump supporting Agenda 21 or Agenda 2030. I don't know. I hope not. I still feel like Trump is trying to make the strategic decisions that he needs to make to drain the swamp. I think he's trying to do it. And then people say, oh, Trump is a puppet, Jason. Don't be an idiot. I'm trying to remain hopeful. And I do think he is trying. Like, yeah, he's pushing vaccines, but, you know, what we saw him do the other day I thought was quite clever, where he said there's going to be a vaccine ready before November, and now he's got all the people who are super rushing the vaccine to say, oh no, that's too soon. So it's almost like he's just providing more evidence that these guys only want an instant vaccine that they run or develop or whatever. Which sort of puts more emphasis on the fact that they just seem to be trying to sell everybody their vaccine, not necessarily care about preventing or curing or mitigating the disease. I don't know if people got a chance to see John Cullen Investigates last night, but John is onto some amazing stuff. He showed us some presentations from PhDs and some of the doctors and scientists. Sorry?
What do you call this?
This is a gimbal.
A gimbal?
3-axis gimbal. Yeah, holds the phone stable. Are you working for the construction company?
Yes.
What are you guys working on?
Gas, the line, repairing the gas line.
Uh-huh. Okay. Be safe.
Thank you.
Thanks. That's interesting. Repairing the gas line. I hope that's safe. I guess they know what they're doing. Anyway, what was I talking about? Nobody here to remind me. Let's see, the comments will probably remember what I was just talking about. We're talking yesterday about something. John Cullen, right. So John Cullen presented all these scientists who are the ones who resurrected the 1918 Spanish flu. Now, one of the reasons I'm intrigued by that story, first of all, why the hell would anybody do that? What is the scientific purpose of resurrecting what is largely believed to be the most dangerous and deadly viral epidemic ever? That still has not been answered. But what Cullen did, I mean, this is one of these stories when I first heard it's like resurrect. You know, that's like a word from witchery. Like, how do you resurrect something? Sounds like magic, so right away the thing seems ridiculous on the surface. But I like these stories that seem implausible or even impossible, that when you dig into them are shown to be absolutely true. And so what John explained, and I now have been reminded by some other viewers that they brought this to my attention previously, but I hope people understand. I literally get so many messages, it's totally impossible for me to look at them all. I don't know how Charles does it. I know he's probably getting just as many as I do or more. He reads a lot faster than I do. I'm overwhelmed. But anyway, what John did was he assembled various presentations from the scientists and articles written about the scientists. These guys went to Alaska and dug up from the permafrost, from like frozen areas of land that just remain frozen always. They dug up dead guys from World War I and scooped out samples of their lungs. You know, I don't know how they knew that these guys died. Oh, because it was a mass grave from Spanish flu. So they dug up the dead guys, picked out little pieces of their lungs, and got the genetic material, the gene sequence or the RNA or whatever, did some scientific stuff, and recreated the virus. So, I mean, again, why the hell would you do that? And the other thing that John points out is that Dr. Deborah Birx, part of the coronavirus task force, she announced in March in a White House press conference that they're just not going to talk about influenza anymore. They're not going to report the influenza deaths. But so why? It's hard to know if I can talk about why I think they did it. The SAPER organization is for rent. It's a huge space. I don't know what that organization is or does, but they're not doing it over here anymore. This place is out over there, Signature Bank. I never heard of that before. And again, I mean, I don't necessarily care if a bank goes out of business. I mean, sorry. I shouldn't say that. There's regular people working at the bank. But it's certainly not a good sign for the economy. I mean, that's Pret-a-Manger, that's a lunch place. That would normally be full on a Saturday. Mulligan's Pub, I'd imagine they're playing some sports or something in there on a Saturday and selling booze. Nobody. This is bad. Every week it's getting worse. Look at that fully built space available. Chemical Bank. Wow, I didn't even realize that can't. Yeah, that's City MD. That Chemical Bank sign, that's Legacy. I'm pretty sure Charles would know off the top of his head exactly what happened to Chemical Bank, but probably Chase bought that. And this building is undoubtedly a chemical bank. This weird, what's that? Bishop and I would have a field day with the symbols on that, but it's probably like a chemical bank building that got consolidated down. Cava closed. There's just no activity around. Yeah, there's cars driving, but I mean, this is just a fraction. Dos Toros over there looks out of business. That's a kind of a Tex-Mex fast food thing. Here's Essen behind me. They're closed and locked up, and I think we've seen a bunch of their places closed around the city. What's the escape game? Perhaps that's what we should all be playing. Oh, that was someone covering their face as I walked by with the camera. Yeah, I mean, it's their right to not want to be photographed. I'm just curious. I mean, they don't realize that every single one of these street lights has a camera on it. They're being photographed everywhere they go. There's the library over there, still closed. This place is pretty interesting. Zero Halliburton. They make pretty expensive furniture. And I don't know if they're related to the Dick Cheney Halliburton. Not furniture, luggage. They make this like indestructible luggage. Right, so I think this is where we came up to with Charles last week. Hey, there's that beast mode company again towing somebody's Mercedes away. That dude did not have a friendly look on his face. What do we think about Daily Beast or maybe Vice? I forget who it was advising people. Wow, I don't know if people saw that girl's dress, but she was wearing a black dress with a red rose and a barbed wire stem on the rose. Some kind of trouble. Let's see what we can see with the comments here. Oh yeah, well that's why you shouldn't put your car in park to stop it. It'll make that noise. You just want to use the brakes, I think. It's your car though, of course you can do whatever you want. You want to destroy it. I mean, people appreciate what's going on around here. The dude on the bicycle with the mask, exactly. Oh yeah, right, so it was Vice. I think it was Vice telling people, giving them advice as to how to avoid being identified with the mask. They told people to cover their tattoos, etc. And this was a remarkable thing about this Joe Rogan, Andy No interview, is that they were talking about Antifa wearing masks in public at these events prior to coronavirus. And Joe Rogan said it should be illegal to wear a mask in public, which I absolutely agree with, because it just facilitates doing crimes anonymously. I've been very opposed to people acting anonymously. I just don't think it's a reasonable way to act. And the people who want to do it, who are mostly scumbags and liars, mostly, they try to equate themselves to the founding fathers, like how Thomas Paine used a nom de plume to write his pamphlets because he was concerned that the king would behead him. But that was a reasonable concern at that time. You didn't have due process. That was before the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution and all these rights that were supposed to be guaranteed that Antifa and others who want to be out in public hiding their identity or operating on the internet under false identities, they try to equate themselves with the founding fathers. But I am not the King of England, and I have no ability to chop anybody's head off. I think I deserve the right to confront my accusers, as does everyone. But there's a lot of anonymous people who like to accuse people of things. A lot of cowards like B.O.G., the brother of George. He's a coward. He likes to hurl threats and false accusations and bring lawsuits based on false accusations and try to disrupt my life and waste my time and waste my resources and prevent me from making more shows and making this channel better and earning money. That is his goal. And he wants this channel to stop so that people cannot see what's going on around New York City. So that people cannot see, hey, that's interesting. That is, I've spoken many times about my friend who owns the hair salon. That's the French chain that he was working at. Not that location, I've never been in that one. But that's the chain that he came from Paris. They opened up a few places in New York. He eventually ran one of their spots, then bought his own place. I'm actually heading for a haircut right now. And unlike Nancy Pelosi, it's not a setup. I was set up. I admit to being set up. I take responsibility for falling for a setup. Has that crazy woman said or done anything to apologize yet? I bet not. This is an impressive looking spot right here. Chase. But there's nobody in there. I mean, wait a minute now. Does that vase look similar to the design on the Chemical Bank building? It does to me. Somebody watching is going to know something about that I don't know. James B. wants me to do another show with Shepard Ambellis. We're going to do that. Shepard, well, I don't want to say, but he's planning something, and I'll let him tell everybody about it. But I was just talking with Shepard earlier this morning. There's a Brinks truck, speaking of the Weather Underground. That's what they tried to rob. Now we see all these smashed windows at banks. Is Antifa attempting some sort of version of what the Weather Underground was doing as far as robbing banks? I mean, you know, they feel justified in robbing from the rich. So smash a bank, I guess, is their attitude. Break the windows. Get every business to move out of a neighborhood so that whoever does choose to stay here is going to be absolutely overwhelmed with taxes. I actually did get my tax bill yesterday. Huge. I'm sure it's going to go up. New York was always high with taxes. And now it's going to be worse. Coffee place out. I mean, these businesses that are open are empty. How long until Citibank gets tired of paying the electric bill and closes that?
Yeah, it's big.
Not a lot of cars around. Look at this. It's just no activity. I mean, I wonder if even the tunnels and the bridges and what's the amount of revenue from tolls? That's got to be down. Everything's going to be down. So yeah, back to Trump defunding NYC. I wouldn't want my tax dollars to go to the guys that are making the decisions that have wrecked this place. Certainly wouldn't want them going there if I didn't live here. So why should federal tax funds bail out these cities? I mean, it's not going to be in my personal best interest. Look, here's another Wells Fargo. How many damn Wells Fargo branches do these guys need? It's ridiculous. And again, nobody's in there. Is this building 33 something? There's no number on it. Daffy Duck's uncle or whoever that guy is. Huh. Look at what we got. Whoa. Oh, I wish people could have seen that. A giant dragonfly just landed right on my camera. I gotta really pick up the pace here. Gonna be late. I think this is a pretty fancy hotel, if I'm not mistaken. The Palace. So let's see what our comments are up to here. Same design, right? People are noticing. So yeah, the comments are a little behind where I am now, but that's weird. That I'm pretty sure Chase bought Chemical Bank, and I'm pretty sure there's some relationship between that vase in the Chase Bank window and the design on the building of the Chemical Bank. I bet you somebody who sees this video will know more about it than I do, and I'll be interested to see what they think about that. Dragonflies. Yeah, it was cool. Is Who open on Saturday, Christy Mitchell? Yes, Ghost Town NYC is quiet for a Saturday. Dragonfly is a spiritual message, according to Beverly S. I felt that was a benevolent dragonfly. I wish I could have taken a picture of it. It landed right on the center. You know, I'm basically walking down the street with, how can I show people this? Yeah, so here, if we switch to this camera, I'm walking down the street with the camera on a gimbal, and the dragonfly landed right there on top of the gimbal. And I believe you that it's a spiritual message. I felt like that was a friendly dragonfly. Yeah, I don't think New York is dead forever. I think New York is punched right in the face, kicked in the scrotum, doubled over on the ground, writhing around. It's not pretty. But New York is tough and it will come back. Problem is, it's not going to be the same. Wow, that looks, I have no idea what that is, but it looks delicious. Some kind of Japanese treat. Maybe it's mochi? What is this? Japanese bakery. Boy, that looks really nice. Don't have time. Got to keep going. Wow, what is that? Convertible Audi, whatever, A8? No, W10? Some Audi with a Lamborghini engine. And convertible. Now, I meant to mention to Charles one time when we were walking over here, I've said it before, I used to work in this neighborhood, right down that street over there. I'll tell you, I miss those days. New York in the 90s. Oh, I hope we can get back to that. I mean, that's the worst part, is that it's not a question of will, it's a question of do you want to be here during, we're still in the downslope. I mean, this has not even finished yet. I don't even know if we're in the middle. So, you know, I absolutely understand. It's a lot of roads being repaved, I've noticed over the last few days, and a lot of weed burning around. Hey, you know what? Maybe if they legalize weed and tax it, that would help them get some money back for New York. That would be a good idea. Could put those stupid vans out of business as well. I can tell that guy's not from New York, just by the way he's like moseying around, taking up most of the sidewalk. I'm surprised that so many of these art places are still in business. Here's a pseudo 3D something happening. I don't know if people can see that. This lenticular print. Obviously it's not going to be 3D, but maybe you can see it moving as I walk by. Why are these art places still in business? It would seem like no traffic would go to a place like that during a pandemic. Madison Avenue is very, very quiet. Even these stores that are open basically just have the clerks in them and nobody else. Proper food is shut down. I think this is security for Trump Tower, I believe. Like the back. Yeah, that's Trump. Oh yeah, that's the atrium right there for Trump Tower. And that's the tower itself. It's got a lot of security over there. It's interesting to observe what they're talking about and the different ideas they're trying to force into everybody's skull on the news. I mean, Andrew Cuomo trying to convince everybody that this is Donald Trump's fault, something to do with his reaction to coronavirus. I mean, this is where John Cullen's research becomes super interesting, because they're deliberately not reporting these flu numbers, but yet they're recorded on their own website, and when you look at them, there seems to be an alarming influenza outbreak going on right now, and they don't want us to know about it. And the symptoms and everything for influenza and coronavirus seem identical, and the strain of influenza that caused the 1918 Spanish flu pandemic was resurrected in 2005. And they made the genome open source. They published it. So anybody with a CRISPR machine could recreate the thing. I think China has CRISPR machines. I think lots of people have. You can just buy a CRISPR machine if you have the money, and if you're a genetic whatever, you could probably make it. Why would they do that? Recreate it, and publish it like that. Seems stupid, or worse. A lot of people tell me that they've never been to New York and they like to see these walk-arounds. Here's a fancy place that looks pretty out of business. I don't know what that was. But are we going to now start to see even the fancy places? It looks like it. Start to go under. How long can they last? I mean, look, even if they're not losing crazy money, if a store like this isn't a huge profit center, why not just make your whole business online? And everybody's staying home anyway, browsing the internet all day. Some of these people may be waiting to go into the stores. Getting closer to my destination here, so I'm gonna end this broadcast fairly soon. This guy in his car with a mask on. Pretty safe. I guess he's a taxi driver. Maybe he's got a passenger with him. That was a livery car. So let's see what our comments are saying. Cuomo got nipple clamps. I think they're nipple piercings, but it could be. It's weird for sure, in my opinion. Lauren went to New York in March when the virus broke out. What a city of history. Wow, yeah. Yeah. Well, this might be the only broadcast for today. I'm trying to get some things straightened out and taken care of. I got a lot to do. Here we see some more restaurants on the street there. That's nice. These seem a bit busier. Oh yeah, I've been around. This is where we were last week or 2 weeks ago, whenever it was that I was leaving here. Hey, I think I've wondered frequently where this is. People have told me there's a mini Statue of Liberty. I'm not sure that I've exactly noticed it before. And it's got a sign on it, so perhaps something important is written on the sign. This is Lowe's Corporation. This is the original Statue of Liberty, cast in bronze from the original plaster sculpture. It was enlarged 16 times by the artist to create the Statue of Liberty in New York Harbor, perhaps the most recognized symbol of freedom in the world. It was presented as a gift to the American people and paid for by the citizens of France. The statue celebrates the core values of both countries: freedom, democratic government, and the equality of man. It also celebrates the bonds of friendship between our two countries and the vital financial and military assistance that France gave our Revolutionary Army, commanded by George Washington during our young nation's hour of greatest need. I suppose it's very appropriate that I'm going to see my French buddy right now. And I don't know, we might be in our greatest hour of need right now as well. So, yeah, I was thinking about France the other day as well. You know, we all watched last year with the yellow vests and their rioting and protesting. I can't say that I necessarily had a deep understanding of what that was all about, but I wonder if it was connected to similar things that are going on here now. Certainly watching that Joe Rogan interview of Andy Ngo when they were talking about unrest in Portland and how it was so bizarre a year ago, well, it's commonplace now. And I think that we might still not have an excellent handle on who's behind it and all that, and what the ultimate goal is. Park Avenue now. Right, so this is the Lowe's Regency Hotel here. I don't know what the relationship is to Lowe's Corporation, but now I am late, so that's not good. I hope that people who enjoy these walks will become sponsors on subscribestar.com/crowdsourcethetruth or patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth. Join us over there. Really helps me keep the show going. There's a lot of people trying to shut it down, a lot of people trying to take resources from me, trying to damage me with lawsuits, false accusations, false copyright claims. Do whatever they can to shut the show down, to shut me down, to upset me, distract me, all these kind of things. So you can counteract that by supporting the show, by becoming a sponsor. It's very inexpensive, and it gives you access to a huge library of sponsor-exclusive content. Make sure if you're on Patreon and you're watching on a phone or a tablet, do not use the Patreon app with iOS or Android. Use Google or Chrome. And if you're watching with the Brave browser on Patreon or Subscribestar, make sure you have the ad blocker turned off. There are no ads on either of those web pages, so it won't disrupt your experience, but having that ad blocker on will prevent you from watching the videos. I apologize for that inconvenience, but you know, these same people that want to disrupt the channel, they have associates who try to steal the videos. Porsche Taycan. Try to steal the videos and republish them to discourage people from becoming sponsors. Anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. Have a great afternoon, great evening. Stay safe. Enjoy your weekend. And I'll see everybody tomorrow for Sunday with Charles.